Thank you, devotees, for joining the morning Srimad Bhagavatam discussion class from ISKCON Naperville. I'll start with my prayer. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shivatapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीन बंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधा कांता नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंदा श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तवृंदा हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण प्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमति भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी नीति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। Right, so once again, thank you for joining. I will share my screen. We are going to read today from verse Canto 3, Chapter 10, verses 18 through 21. Let me share my screen, if I can find out. Okay. Three point 10.18. So there are no purports. I will read the verse and the synonyms translation. There is the purport only for 21. Shad ime prakrita sarga vaikritan api me shrinu rajo bhajo bhagavato leyam hari medhasaha. Synonyms. Shat, 6, ime, all this, prakrita, of the material energy, sargaha, creations, vaikritan, secondary creations by Brahma, api, also, me, from me, shrinu, just here, raja bhaja, of the incarnation of the mode of passion, or Lord Brahma, Bhagavata, of the greatly powerful, Leela, pastime, Iyam, this, Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Medasaha, of one who has such a brain. Translation. All the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations by Brahma, who is an incarnation of the mode of passion, and who, in the matter of creation, has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. I will read all of them and then we will discuss. Verse 3.10.19. Saptamo mukhya sargastu shadvidastastusham cha yaha vanaspati oshadhi lata tvaksara virodho drumaha. Synonyms. Saptama, the seventh, mukhya, principal, sargaha, creation, two, indeed, shadvidaha, 6 kinds of, tastusham, of those who do not move, cha, also, yaha, those, vanaspati, fruit trees without flowers, oshadi, trees and plants existing until the fruit is ripe. Lata, creepers. Tvakshara, pipe plants. Virudha, creepers without support. Drumaha, trees with flowers and fruits. Translation. The seventh creation is that of the immovable entities, which are of six kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until the fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, creepers with which have no support, and trees with flowers and fruits. Verse number 20. Utsrotasah tamah praya antasparsha visheshinah. Synonyms. Utrotasah, they seek their subsistence upwards. Tamaha prayah, almost unconscious. Anta sparshaha, slightly feeling within. Visheshinaha, with varieties of manifestation. Translation. All the immovable trees and plants seek their subsistence upwards. They are almost unconscious but have feelings of pain within. They are manifested in variegatedness. And last 21. Tirasha Tirascham Astamaga Sargaha So Astavimshad Vidho Mataha Avido Bhuri Tamaso Granagna Hridi Avedinaha. Synonyms. Tirashcham, species of lower animals. Ashtamaha, the eighth. Sargaha, creation. Saha, they are. Ashta Vimshat, 28. Vidaha, varieties. Mata, considered. Avidaha, without knowledge of tomorrow. Bhuri, extensively. Tamasaha, ignorant. Grana, gna, can know desirables by smell. Hridi Avedinaha, can remember very little in the heart. Translation. The eighth creation is that of the lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. They are all extensively foolish and ignorant. They know their desirables by smell, but are unable to remember anything within the heart. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Vedas, the symptoms of the lower animals are described as follows. Athetaresham pashuna ashana pipase eva vijnanam na vigyatam vadanti na vigyatam pashyanti na vidu swastanam na loka loka iti yad va bhuri tamaso bahurusha grane naiva jananti hridyam prati swapriyam vastva eva vindanti bhojanashayanadi artham grinanti. The translation is, lower animals have knowledge only of their hunger and thirst. They have no acquired knowledge, no vision. Their behavior exhibits no dependence on formalities. Extensively ignorant, they can know their desirables only by smell, and by such intelligence, only they can understand what is favorable and unfavorable. Their knowledge is concerned only with eating and sleeping. Therefore, even the most ferocious lower animals, such as tigers, can be tamed simply by regularly supplying meals and accommodations for sleeping. Only snakes cannot be tamed by such an arrangement. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dedadi Swapadantikam. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. When will Srila Rupa Goswami Prabhupada, who has established within this material world the mission to fulfill the desire of Lord Chaitanya, give me shelter under his lotus feet? Okay, so today we will discuss, now let's discuss these 4 verses, 18, 19, 20, and 21. Here in verse 18, this is a conversation between Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So the conversation is continuing, and now Vidura has inquired about the creation, and particularly the secondary creation. And text 18, Maitreya Muni has already described the creation that happens before. So there is a sequence of creation, and he has already described. So he says that all the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. Now hear from me about the creations by Brahma, who is an incarnation of mode of passion, and who in the matter of creation has a brain like that of personality of Godhead. So some significant statements or things that come to mind is that in the sequence of creation, the creation that is dependent on the material modes or Maya, or the 3 modes of material nature, is first created, which Maitreya Muni has already described. He says that which are all the above are natural creations by the external energy of the Lord. External energy of the Lord is Maya Devi, or the 3 mode of material nature, also popularly known as Durga Devi. And the creations are created, and then the creations by Lord Brahma take place, which is the actual bodies of the living entities. Because the bodies of the living entities depend on the material nature. The bodies, we know that the body is, it can be anything. Our human bodies are made up of skin, flesh, blood, bones. But if we look at the body of a earthworm, for example, there is no bone inside, at least not that we can see or I can see. And but that's also made up of material elements. The basic material elements: earth, water, fire, air, ether. And then there are subtle material elements: mind, intelligence, and false ego. So these ashtada, or 8 elements, make up the material elements, and these are the elements present in any body. Some of the bodies have, and these verses are specifically talking about gross material bodies. And again, within those gross material bodies also there's a sequence. So that sequence is being mentioned here by Maitreya Muni. The sequence is also mentioned in the evolutionary process in the Padma Puran, that is famously quoted by Srila Prabhupada many times. What is that? Navalakhani Jalajayu. There are like 900,000 species of aquatics in the ocean or in the water bodies. Very specific information is there. How many living entities are there which are of the type or category aquatics? Then 1.1 million are trees, which is being talked about here also. And we see there some more details have been given here that trees are also of different types in verse number 19 and 20. And finally, that verse also says that there are 400,000 types of humans also. So, and totaling to 88.4 million species of life. Yes, 8.4 million. And these species is being described here by Maitreya Muni. And what is so sorry in text 18, some other things that come to light is that what he says is that Lord Brahma is in the mode of passion, and because he's creating, so for any creative energy, mode of passion is required. But he's using that mode of passion in service to the Supreme Lord Krishna. What is the service? There are living entities with different desires, different karma, and many of them have been there for uh, nobody knows how long. Nitya, the word sometimes used is also Nityabada, meaning that they have been eternally been in the material realm, and they are evolving, or they are changing their bodies according to their desires and mindset. It's mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita also. Karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasau. This is in the 13th chapter. Yes, verse number 32. Purusha prakritasto hi bhungte prakriti jan gunan karanam guna sangosya sadasad yoni janmasau. So the translation is, the living entity in the material nature thus follows the ways of life, enjoying the three modes of nature. This is due to his association with that material nature. Thus he meets with good and evil among various species. So this is explaining that the species, they go from one body to the other. And then there is also what determines the next body. I'm trying to find out. Yes, here it's in the 8th chapter where Krishna describes, verse number 5 and 6. These are the famous verses. Text 5, he says, Antakale cha mam eva smaran mukta kalevaram yaha prayati sa madbhavam yati nasti atra samshayaha. Or, and whoever at the end of his life quits his body, remembering me alone, at once attains my nature. Of this there is no doubt. Okay, so this is not directly related to what we are discussing, but Krishna has given the formula that one who quits his body, how do we get out of this material world? And this is the formula. One who quits his body, remembering smaranam, like remembering Krishna, then he attains nature of Krishna, or the spiritual nature. But then in the next verse, he gives the principle behind it. And that principle applies to what we are discussing here. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajati ante kalevaram tam tam evaite konteya sada tad bhava bhavitaha. Translation: whatever state of being one remembers when he quits his body, O son of Kunti, that state he will attain without fail. So the next body, or the transmigration of the soul from one body to the other, is based on this principle, that at the time, whatever state of being one remembers when he's quitting the body, they will attain that state. Practically, how do we understand this? How does the species go from the lower species to the higher species? We can understand that, for example, let's say a small, and this is a example given by Srila Prabhupada also, a small fish, when a small fish is eaten by a bigger fish, at the time when it's dying, at the time of death, the fish is remembering something, and it is remembering that I have been caused this distress has been caused to me by a bigger fish, because that bigger fish is more powerful than me. Therefore, that bigger fish has been able to give this distress to me, and then I have to give up this body. So I wish I could have a bigger body like that of other fish. So this is the remembrance, and therefore the fish in the next life takes the body of a bigger fish. So similarly, from the aquatics, they go to the land, become reptiles, and then insects, trees, and plants, and then birds, and then animals, and then finally the soul comes to the form of the human life, which is the highest form of life. Here, in one another significant statement is that Lord Brahma has a brain like that of the personality of Godhead. So this is very significant statement that Lord Brahma is a very, very powerful and empowered living entity. We know that Lord Brahma is also a living entity, a Jiva Tattva, but he is extremely powerful and empowered. I've also heard in Srila Prabhupada's lectures, I don't have a reference for that, but there are many unlimited universes, we know that, and there is a Lord Brahma in all of them. And sometimes when, and it may happen, maybe it's rare, but it happens that there is no, Lord Brahma is not found to preside over a particular universe. In that case, the Lord himself takes the role of Lord Brahma and rules that universe, or rather does the duty of creation. And yeah, so Lord Brahma has the brain like that of personality of Godhead, without which he cannot do. Text 19 is the seventh creation. So this is about talking about the trees and the lower kind of the trees and plants, which is, and the details are there. There are 16 kinds: the fruit trees without flowers, trees and plants which exist until fruit is ripe, creepers, pipe plants, etc., and trees with flowers and fruits. So trees that bear flowers and fruits are higher the uh, in the process, and the others are lower in terms of consciousness or in the modes. But in general, the trees, we see is that the trees can also see and feel. The trees are also living entities. Trees are able to communicate with each other. Trees are able to see. We see that creepers and trees, when there is an obstacle, they are able to pass or move around that obstacles, which gives an indication that they are able to see. If there is a disease somewhere, and the nearby trees of similar plants, we see that during, like in a particular area, all the trees begin to shed their colors at the same time. So there's a communication also. Sometimes, and it's not always at the same time of the year. Sometimes it may get delayed. Sometimes it's early, depending on the weather. So there is a way of communication. They communicate with each other. So the life is there in the trees. But they are almost, in text 20, he says that they are almost unconscious but have feelings of pain within. A very clear evidence that trees and plants also have they have conscious but almost unconscious, meaning that they have very little consciousness, and they have the feelings of pain within. And finally, text 21, the eighth creation is that of the lower species of life, and they are of different varieties, numbering 28. These are extensively foolish and ignorant. They know their desirables by smell and anything within the heart. So here in this, Srila Prabhupada mentions in the Bhagavad Gita also, he says that there are different types of consciousness among the living entities. Annamaya, Pranamaya, Jnanamaya, and Vijnanamaya. And here he's talking about the animals which have the consciousness of Annamaya, meaning they are in the conscious about eating and sleeping. And he gives an example that even ferocious animals like lions and tigers can be tamed simply by giving these two things, food and sleep, annamaya. And we can see that in the progression of human, like in a baby also, a baby, when the baby is born, it's doing goo goo gaga. It's only in the annamaya. It only wants food and yeah, milk and food. And as the baby grows, it develops pranamaya. Then the fear of life, the presence of life within that consciousness comes. And then if they are fortunate, they go into all of them get some of Jnanamaya, but then Vijnanamaya is the understanding of the spiritual sense, spiritual consciousness. If they are fortunate, they get to that stage. But so human life is the most important. I could not get to that point. Getting to the human life is very important. Even the demigods aspire to attain a human body. It's mentioned in the Srimad Bhagavatam 5:19-28. But the essence of all of this is there is the secondary creation is there. I'll quickly recap. The secondary creation is there. Lord Brahma is the secondary creator, and he is creating these according to provide a particular opportunity for all different types of living entities. And they are by the different types of consciousness. And we can understand that because there are 8.4 million species of life, there are that many at a high level. Uh, there's many more, but at a high level, those are the levels of consciousness. And those living entities get a body according to their consciousness. And then there is a progression of that consciousness. That is the purpose of the material creation, to be able to provide the actual body so that they can ultimately reach the highest body of a human and then elevate themselves outside of the material world and go back to home, back to Godhead, and attain their constitutional position of their spiritual consciousness. That is the essence of all this. So I will stop here. I know that it's almost 8 o'clock. I also have a hard stop coming soon. So if there are any discussions, or if we can talk about any questions, we can do so.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Hare Krishna, Radha Kunj Prabhu. Please accept mine too. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, wonderful class, Prabhuji. Lot of good points. I was just wondering about, like the child being in Annamaya state, and, that was an excellent point. I was just wondering if that is the case, how is it Abhimanyu or even Prahalad Maharaj, like they got instructions while they were in the womb, what state were they, which, like Annamaya, Pranamaya. So I was just wondering about that.
Yeah, so the way I understand is after the baby takes birth and comes in contact with the material energy, they go into these stages. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam third canto, Kapila Muni is describing the stages within the womb, specifically about the humans. And he very clearly states that the being in the womb, the living entity in the womb, remembers the Lord, and it remembers the past lives, which means that by Lord's mercy, inside the womb has a higher consciousness. And we see that both Prahlad Maharaj and Abhimanyu, Arjunas, they had that consciousness, and they were able to hear what was being spoken outside. And that also is one of the reason why we many times Prabhupada would encourage, and we would say that specifically after the 7th month, that a pregnant woman, if they read the Krishna book, that's very beneficial for the soul inside.
Yeah, Prabhuji, that is right. Even Sukadeva Goswami doesn't want to come out
Yeah,
of his mother's womb. Thank you, Prabhuji. Yeah, you're right. It comes in the last Kapila Dev's teachings, conclusions, actually. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
thank you. Okay, if there's nothing else, we can stop here. Thank you very much for joining. Vanchakalpatarubhayasya kripa sindhubhya vacha patitanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Have a good rest of your day. Hare Krishna.